All right, mic check, good. So I'm Max Ceron, Max Ceron, CWB Association Welding Podcast. Today we have a really cool guest, Welding Podcast.
The show is about to begin.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the CWB Association podcast. We're here on the Fabtech 2022 floor, CanWeld 2022 collaboration, and it's day 3. And as you can tell from my voice and all the other podcast shows we've done, the third day is where I start to sound like this. It's like I swallowed motor oil and had fun with a lawnmower last night. So today we have Stephanie Hoffman. Today we have Stephanie Hoffman here with us. This is her round 2 on the podcast, but the first time was virtual. Now we're in person. She's up here in Canada. How's it going, Stephanie?
It's going awesome. I'm a little concerned right now that the one item you picked to have fun with last
Is
night
a lawnmower?
is a lawnmower.
Are you judging? Don't judge.
I'm just kind of, I can think of a lot of things that I'd like to have fun with. It's not a lawnmower.
Well, you're in Canada now, so things are different up here.
Hopefully it's a ride-on mower.
It depends.
Or like
Top or bottom?
the old push, like the little whirly wheel.
The whirly wheel, is that what they were called?
No.
I have no idea. I've never used one of those. I'm not that old.
That's a technical term, actually.
Oh, like dartsters?
Dartsters? Yeah, we've met dartsters. So my first time in Canada,
Mm-hmm.
I went from the reception desk to the elevator, and it's maybe, can I say feet in Canada?
Yeah, you can say feet.
What do you guys say, kilometers or meters? Should
It
I
would
say,
be
like,
meters or centimeters, but we know feet. We live next to you. We have to learn your lingo.
Okay, so if I said like 50 meters.
That's like 130 feet.
Yeah, so that's,
Okay,
I was going to
yeah.
say like 150 feet. So
Okay,
I'm all right with
Yep,
meters.
yep.
So I went, how many meters did
50.
I say? 50 meters. It's been a long week. No, so I just went like, a short distance, and I got like one guy asking, and he's like, oh, are you here for the darts? And I was like, excuse me? I'm thinking it's some type of weird like Canadian innuendo.
Slang.
I'm getting like really self-conscious now. Then I get into the elevator and 2 more guys ask me the same question. I'm like, what's happening? And then you literally text me like 2 minutes later, like, yo, there's this really awesome dart competition going on here. And I'm like, oh man. I'm like calling my husband. I'm like, can you believe it? These people keep asking me if I'm like doing darts or something. And I'm like, what is with these people?
Yeah, we have like different categories of like drugs, and darts is at the top.
So,
Like, are you a darts user?
darts user. I was so confused. It's not very many places you ever like. I've never
How
been in
many-
an experience where, one, I've been in the midst of a dart competition.
Yeah, you just stumble into it.
Yeah, and then 2, I've never been asked that, except if I'm like at a dive bar at 11 o'clock at night. Hey, you want to play darts? But not like, you here for the darts?
Yeah. Yo, you
No.
darts in this
Yeah,
week?
you darts in this week.
Well, I got here the day before, and I had the same experience. I walked in, and there was all these people smoking outside. And smoking isn't as popular as it was when we were younger, or when I was younger, right? So,
Yeah, because I'm 22.
yeah, because you're 22, so this isn't a part of your experience. But in my wizened experience, there's always like a pile of smokers outside, and it's kind of gone away. But I show up at the hotel, and there's like 100 people outside smoking. And I was like, what the heck is going on? Is there like a tobacco convention going on here or something, And I walk in, and they're all wearing like these clothes. And I'm like, what's going on here? They're like, oh, we're here for like a darts tournament. I'm like, oh, okay, like darts tournament in a hotel? Like, these are like bar, And they're like, oh, no, this is like a national darts tournament with like thousands of people coming here from around the country. And there's like $1 million purses and big money. And I was
No
like,
way.
yeah. And I was like, what? They're like, yeah, like this is like the big one for them.
Yeah.
It's like the PGA of dartsing,
Yeah.
right? So
There was a lot of interesting dartsers
yeah,
in the hotel.
they're fun. So anyways, I
Yeah.
got in before everybody else, because I'm super anal about this stuff. I wanted to make sure everything was good. And I went out for a drink at the lounge at night and made some friends with some dartsers. And that was day 1 of what has turned into a long week
Yeah.
of having fun.
Well, you know what? You keep saying dartsers like this is a true technical term. We have adopted this term over the last week, but we don't really know if that's a true.
I don't know if that's their professional term or not. I don't know if that's actually what they're called. I started.
Can you imagine? There's a big dartser community watching this
Oh,
eventually,
man.
and they get they're gonna get really annoyed if we are butchering their term of who they are.
Well, I don't know. I should have maybe over the last
We gotta
4
do like
days.
a survey. Like,
Yeah,
what do
I
you
should
guys...
have. I should have Googled it at least once.
I mean, we literally could have done research the last week with a clipboard.
We could have maybe just asked one of them.
Like,
There's like
we
hundreds
could
and
have had the
hundreds.
clipboard though, just for effect, though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're great people. And like I've been drinking with them and having fun with them, and they're telling me stories, and they're from all over Canada.
It's funny that you're acting like dartsers could be like
Celebrities.
no, but like there's a question of like the character of what the dart community might be. You're
Yeah.
like, they're great people, like they're from Mars or something.
Yeah, I heard that they were difficult, but really, they're
They're
fantastic.
so nice.
I don't know what they were saying. It was the curlers didn't like the darts.
We're really thinking way too much about the
Yeah, I
darting
know, and
community.
we've thought about it lots this week. This isn't the first time. Just for people, this isn't the first time we've talked about this.
No, it's we're probably on at least a solid dozen.
So actually, for everyone that's listening, Stephanie, how has your trip to Canada been? This is the first time you've been up to Canada. You didn't go very far into Canada.
No.
Like Toronto's just across the lakes there,
Yeah.
and you're in just south of the lakes, really.
Yeah.
So how has it been? Is it way different from where you are, considering it's so close, or is it
No.
pretty much the same?
I mean, honestly, I haven't seen much. Hopefully
Mhm,
tonight
mhm.
you'll be a lovely host and take me somewhere
Mhm.
more interesting than the hotel on the airport.
Well, once we're done at 4, we're done working.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so far so good. I mean, it seems very much just like America. So,
Mhm.
wait, I can't call it America.
That's right. We're still in America.
Yeah. Okay. So the United States.
There you go.
Yeah.
The
so
Republic of the United States.
I don't think we call it the Republic.
It
of
is
the
a
United-
republic,
Yeah, but we don't call it that.
but it is.
I didn't learn that. Just like I didn't know. Oh, no, I'm not gonna tell
Oh,
I'm not gonna tell everybody how dumb I am.
there's been a lot of lessons over the
Yeah,
week.
you know, one thing I've learned about Canada, and I don't know if this is a thing. I'm gonna have to do some research tonight. I
Mhm.
might bring a clipboard with me,
Okay.
and a tape measure, because every bathroom stall that I've been to between the airport, like I busted a wheel on my luggage getting
No.
into the bathroom stall
Because it was too small.
yeah, what is going on here? Like, I don't know how women get into the bathroom stalls because you open the door and it's like the toilet's right there. Do you call it a toilet?
Yes.
So the toilet is right there. And I'm like, you have to like skirt around the door to get in. So when I'm in the airport, I got off the plane. I like took off like a bat out of and I tried to get to the bathroom. And so I like throw my bag in there, and then the bag crashes in the
smash.
toilet, crashes in the door, falls over. I can't get in, and I have to pee so badly. The bag flops over on its side, comes up, hits like the skirting of the bottom of like the like
door
little
thing.
hiney hider, you know, and it busts my wheel in. So now I'm going through like security.
Squeaking.
No, it's literally caved up and in. So I got 3 wheels, so I had to do like the old bag lean, and I was like, oh come on.
Thanks, Canada.
And, you know, I travel a lot for the American Welding Society, so like I'm used to going through luggage,
Mhm.
but because it's the airport smashing my bags. And
Yeah,
this
not
stuff,
you smashing it on a
Not-
toilet. You're not
That was a
you're
first.
not known for your toilet rage. This isn't on your resume.
No, it was quite funny. And then, so I thought it was just like a fluke, you know,
Yeah.
at the airport. Then we get to the hotel. Even my hotel bathroom, it's like the bathrooms are tiny square footage. It's not
Really, my bathroom's huge in mine.
Really?
Room. Yeah.
Is it like a handicap room, maybe?
I
Because mine
don't know.
isn't.
Maybe.
Is it like a wheelchair chair accessible?
I don't know. But now that you said that, I'm like,
Is there like a lot of handrails everywhere?
there is.
Yeah. Do you have a seat in your shower?
No.
Okay, so then maybe it's not. I don't know. But you've never had a handicap accessible room?
Well, I don't know if I've ever thought about it. I just thought these bars are for like when you're hammered. You know, it's like, whoa.
No.
Better hold on. I gotta go pee. It's gonna be a wild ride. You know,
No,
like-
but if you get like a true wheelchair, like the wheel in, they have like wheel in wheelchairs. I spend a
Oh.
lot of time in hotels, so
Mhm.
every once in a while I'll get one of these rooms.
I guess when I
And-
book my hotel rooms, I don't look for the wheelchair accessible one.
Well, I don't. It's just like what they put you in, right? But the only problem with the wheel-in ones is that when you're showering, you got to make sure you got like the head of the shower in a special
Pointed
angle.
the right way, or else
'Cause if
it'll all
not,
leaks
you'll just
out.
be it'll just be all over the place.
So you know from experience.
Yes.
Yeah.
But the great thing is, if you've had a few after a show
Wobbly
or
pops,
whatever, they have the seat that folds out in the shower.
Just sitting.
And you just sit there and just kind of think about life and will I throw up?
Choices.
Will I not? If I do, at least I don't have to like get out. I just do it right here. I'm totally kidding. I've never done any of that.
No. I've heard of alcohol. I
Yeah.
have yet to see what it looks like.
Yeah.
I've heard.
Yeah.
So the bathrooms are small.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I know.
Maybe.
I know that. And it's Tim Horton. I've seen Justin Bieber on commercials.
Yeah, and the Tim bits or the what are they called? The Bieber bits? Or-
Bieber bites, I think it
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
I think it's
Tim Biebs.
Beeb bites.
I haven't even tried them yet. I'm not a big fan of Tim Hortons.
There's one right across from the hotel, but
Yeah.
I've yet to go to a Tim Horton.
Have you ever had Tim Hortons coffee?
No.
So it's good.
I don't
it's
drink
like,
coffee.
Oh, that's right. You're not a coffee drinker.
I drink chocolate
So
milk.
Tim Hortons is like, I would say like a Dunkin' Donuts, right? Like that level of
Oh.
coffee shop, right?
So they don't have like burgers.
No, they have like breakfast sandwiches and like healthier sandwiches and like chili. Their chili is actually pretty good.
Chili for breakfast?
No, like it's like one of their lunch offerings. Although chili for breakfast, I'm not going to judge. It would be good.
Right.
Chili on pancakes, delicious. I'm just kidding.
That's
Never
like
done that.
Cincinnati. Have you ever been to Cincinnati? They put chili on like pasta, like thin like spaghetti pasta with
That
cinnamon.
would be all right. Well, okay, so the chili and cinnamon thing I've had before, I'm not
No,
a big
it's
thing.
gross.
Yeah, a lot of people put cinnamon in their lasagna. Not a
Really?
big fan. Yeah, not a big fan.
I didn't know. I've never heard about that.
It's like a thing.
lasagna.
Yeah.
But going to Ohio and everybody's like, get the chili, and then you look at the picture and you're like, it's on spaghetti. Like, I'm from the East Coast, like New York City,
Mhm.
Jersey. Like, we're Italians there. I'm not Italian, but
There's so many Italians out here in
Yeah.
general. Like I come from the West.
Ohio,
No.
I don't
no.
think there's Italians out there because that's like sacrilege what they're
Here
doing.
in
to
Toronto,
spaghetti.
it's like super Italian as well.
Yeah.
Right. So when I first got the job out here in Toronto and I moved out here, or I didn't move out here, but I started coming out here for work, I started being like, why is everyone Italian? All my staff is Italian. Like
Yeah.
all my staff is Italian.
Really?
It's like, what's happening? Like I'm being
They
taken
just
over.
left New York and just Long Island.
Actually,
and...
geographically, they all came at the same time.
Oh, really? So
Right.
they didn't all come in to like the shore there and.
No.
'Cause, I mean, how would they? Well, they really couldn't have got to that part to Toronto without going through really.
There's the rest of the ocean.
Yeah, but that's like you still have to go through like the East Coast. Like Toronto's on the lake.
Yeah, but it's through the Great Lakes. It's like the ocean.
Yeah, but you still have to go through like New York or Massachusetts or Maine or.
Well, wouldn't you say
Nova
that you have to
Scotia?
go to New York through Toronto?
No.
Why? It's the same
Because-
water.
Well, yeah, you would have to go through New York to get to Toronto, but that's what I'm saying. Wait, you said you're tricking me. No, come on. And I'm not a natural blonde, so I'm a lot smarter than I think. I'm picking on to you.
Yeah. It's all good.
Whatever.
Okay, so
Shouldn't we talk about welding or
Yeah,
something?
or
Not
something, I
how
don't
smart
know.
I am with geography.
all week we've had these obviously lots of welding podcasts this week and talks and presentations, and I invited you up to come here as a professional and a mentor and a leader.
Apparently a middle-aged professional.
And do you want to tell that story?
Yeah.
Eric Grievances. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, I get invited to speak on a panel of young professionals. I'm so pumped. I'm telling my husband how, I'm going to be on this young professionals thing. It's for the folks under 40. This is great. And then he's like, oh yeah, did you notice who else is on this panel with? Max says this to
Mhm.
me 2 minutes before this panel is supposed to start. He's like, look at where you're at in this, what do we
Like,
call this? Age progression here. He goes, here's this 19-year-old girl, and then, Chris Kringle down at the end, who's like 70 years old with a just giant white beard. And then, and she's like, you notice you're in the middle. You're in the middle of this life span here. And I was like, wait, what? You told me this is a young professionals event. Now you're just like kicking me, and you're the middle-aged broad in the room. Thanks a lot.
You're a mentor to the youth.
Yeah, and then the whole young professionals committee was over, like, because I was making jokes about it during the panel, and then like last night they're coming over, they're like, we were really thinking about how we were gonna word that because we didn't want to offend anybody. I'm like, the other two people didn't care. I was like, the only one that you were going to offend was the one in the middle-aged
Yeah,
one.
because Chris Kringle knows he's Chris Kringle.
Yeah, because the old guy knows he's old, and the young girl clearly knows she's young. Like, she's not even out of college yet. Like, she just got done bottle feeding, you know? Like,
And you?
me what? I'm young.
Yeah, see?
I'm a young professional. I was the young professional
So
there.
if there was 5 panelists, you would have been the second one,
Thank
not
you.
the third.
Thank you.
Because you're not 19.
No.
No, you're 22, which is much older.
I'm 22, been welding we're pushing 23 years now, and I have a 13-year-old daughter, but I'm holding fast at 22, and I'm proud of it.
No, good.
You know?
You do you, man. I'm aging gracefully, like a pancake in the wind, you know, just like slowly drying up and getting harder, and you know, a graceful progression into
You know what's funny though? You know, I actually seek medical professionals to get my skin harder.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know.
Tin, I don't wrinkle because I'm
when
brown.
you
Brown
become-
people age really well.
Yeah,
so.
but when you become a 22-year-old woman, you know, you start to get wrinkly apparently.
Yeah. Well, and
So
Caucasians
all you
wrinkle.
21-year-olds out there, watch out. Botox is just around the corner.
Okay. Small bathrooms and dartsers. Okay.
Yeah.
Then we had the Young Welding Professionals Night, which I think went fantastic. How did
fantastic.
you feel about that group of kids?
Oh, it was great. It was an absolute blast. I really, really enjoyed it actually. It was probably, you know, I do a lot of those things. And that was on the top of the list. That was a
I
good
was
one.
amazed at how well they engaged
Yeah.
each other, and like
That's always a problem at those things.
Exactly,
Is they
yeah.
don't like I loved how you guys did. I thought you did a great job with it. Where Kendall's right there. He was one of the people who planned it
Yeah,
and
he's
called me a middle-aged woman.
yeah, he did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I really liked because like normally when we do those panel things, it's like the panel speaks. There's a little question and answer thing at the end, and then like that's it. Like there's no
Yeah.
other. I loved how there was like almost what do you call it?
Like an
a-
activity or like a
an
nice
activity,
icebreaker.
an icebreaker.
Yeah.
That's what we call it. Yeah, an icebreaker thing after, which I
After.
thought was really cool because the panel thing got everybody thinking and talking and on the same wavelength instead of doing the icebreaker prior to
Mhm.
it. I think that was great because I think if you did the icebreaker prior, it would.
No one's
make-
warmed up. No one's talking.
No one's warmed up, but then you get them warmed up for when they need to be quiet to
Mhm.
listen to the panel and engage in the panel. And so it's like you did it perfect. I'm actually going to go back and tell AWS that would be a good idea.
Well, I know AWS is always watching what we do over here.
No,
so.
you're always watching what we do.
Oh man, we can't. That would be me looking backwards. When you're in first, you don't look behind you. You just look at that finish line.
What?
As we all get in trouble from our company, all of us are fired Monday. Like,
We're about to like start fighting.
yeah.
AWS rules. You're like
The
CWB. then we're gonna turn into like full on WWF. Like we should do that.
Oh
we should
man,
do
I got some moves. I go pow on
Yeah.
people's elbow.
You know, I have a great idea for Fabtech Atlanta.
Oh, Jello wrestling.
No, oh God, come
Me
on.
in the Speedo.
You can do whatever you want. I'm not going to hold you back. But I was thinking to do a mixer or something where we all dress up like old school 1980s wrestlers, like the Hulk, Ric Flair,
And even like Lucha Libre and stuff like.
Yes.
Oh,
like how cool would that be?
I
'Cause,
even
like
have some masks and tights.
Yeah, AWS we do like themed
Mhm,
board meetings and like for the spring board meeting and stuff, and it's always a lot of fun. We'll do like 80s night or Miami Vice or what, you know,
Mhm.
always fun little things. And how cool would that be to do like a wrestling themed one, like
That would
Hulk
be fun.
Hogan and
Well, we're gonna be at Fabtech
Macho
Atlanta.
Man and yeah,
Probably too close for Atlanta. Oh,
we're
maybe
just
not.
gonna be we're not the word's
It's
not gonna
just
get out.
us.
It's just us.
Just like wrestlers.
Yeah,
I'm sure we
Here
can
I
get
come,
Becker on
Hulk
board.
Hogan and
Yeah, you'd be a good Hulk Hogan because you're blonde.
yeah, and you know
And
what?
I could be like Razor Ramon.
Yes, and my husband is a huge Hulk Hogan fan, and I actually Hulk Hogan has a beach shop in Tampa, so I ordered an actual belt. It was
Oh,
lot of
like a
money.
replica.
no, it was a signed belt.
Oh.
I spent a lot of money on this item. It was his birthday present.
And you want to wear it at this?
Yes, and I'll take it. And it's even got like a card with him signing it and a picture and everything, and it was a big deal. Like it brought a tear to my husband's eye when I gave it to
Oh,
him.
that's cute.
I can never top that now.
That's right. You don't have
I
to.
just have to keep finding other wrestler memorabilia for him. He's not even into wrestling anymore. It's just like from when we were kids, you know? Who didn't love Hulk Hogan and like
Well, I didn't really get wrestling as a kid. I'm gonna be
What?
that. I'm gonna be that kid. I
you didn't like sweaty, steroided out, balding
didn't
young
really.
men?
Yeah,
The crazy thing is that those wrestlers were literally like at the prime of their life, but
Yeah.
looked like they were like 45 years old.
yeah, and I didn't get the drama of it. Like I didn't get the show thing. Like I loved sports,
Yeah.
and like I could even watch like real wrestling,
Yeah.
but
Was like
the show wrestling was like
was
just
it not in a thing in Canada? I
Oh,
thought it
yeah,
was, 'cause
no,
there's
it's
a lot
huge.
of Canadian
Yeah, no,
wrestlers
it's
that
huge.
played, like,
Still
not played
huge,
or
yeah.
acted or wrestled.
yeah,
in
and
it.
we still have our own like wrestling leagues and all. Like it's a big thing,
Yeah.
right? I just wasn't into it. I got made fun of it when I was young because they're like, did you watch the WE last night? And I was like, no. And they're
My
like,
husband, when he got COVID, he literally spent like a week and a half watching old WrestleManias from when we were kids in the 80s. Well, I wasn't a kid in the 80s. I wasn't even born in the 80s.
yeah, well, you heard.
I heard about the 80s. I heard about this thing called the 80s.
Yeah. Okay, so now you're here. You did the Young Welding Professionals. What came up next? Then that night was.
Then we went to the cool mixer thing.
Oh
at
yeah,
the
then we went to the bar, the
Bar
Arizona
Lounge.
Griddle.
Well, no, it's called the Bar and Grill on one side and then Bar Lounge on another side.
Grill
it's
Lounge.
Grill Lounge. Yeah, Grill Lounge.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And how was that party? How'd you like it?
Oh my gosh, that was a blast. And I was really nervous about coming here because like all the US reps are not Canadian reps.
Yeah, because we have our own Canadian reps. Yeah.
Yeah. So like coming here, I know a lot of the companies that are going to be here, but I
Mhm.
didn't know the like Canadian counterparts to those companies. So it was really a lot of fun getting to kind of network. I mean, that's why you come to trade shows, and that's to network and meet more people and expand your reach, I guess, so to speak, in industry. So it was a lot of fun.
Cool.
I enjoyed it.
And then, have you been able to do any of the sessions at all?
No.
No,
it's
me
just a lot of-
neither.
A lot of talking,
Yeah.
and hanging out.
What about the Fab
seeing people.
floor, the Fabtech floor? Didn't it walk around? You've been
Yeah.
checking it out?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it's quite a bit smaller than Fabtech
Yeah, it
USA,
is. But
right?
I knew that coming in because
Yeah.
I think historically it's always
Yeah.
a little bit smaller. So,
Yeah.
but still a great show. Absolutely great show. And I mean, there's tons of room for growth here because it's a great event space. And like, hopefully with you guys doing these cool podcasts and stuff here, and getting
Yeah,
more people
yeah.
involved, more people will know about it,
And what
That's
have you
you're doing.
learned about the CWB since you've been here?
It's bigger than I thought it was.
Yeah.
I think the AWS, we have a different presence, I feel
Mhm.
like, than CWB. Like, even when it comes to the way and I don't know if this is like a Canadian versus America thing. I can't
Just-
call it North America versus, what do we call it?
Canada versus
Canada
United States.
Versus United States. Okay.
Yeah, or the
so we're all North
Republic.
America. Okay, so whatever. I'm not good at geography. So, I don't know if it's just like how we just do things differently. Cause like, you guys have different mannerisms and just different ways of carrying conversation. Like it's different.
Mhm.
But so like the way you guys do your awards things is very different. Like we ate and then did the awards.
Yeah.
With AWS, it's like hundreds of people getting an award. So they're just like, you're like shoveling food in your mouth. They're just lining them up and passing them on. But like, that's what we're used to. Like, so to me, AWS is just this big, massive thing. And then I come to the CWB and it's just on a much different pace, scale.
Yeah.
But then come to find out your member base isn't too far off from what 60 something thousand.
Yeah.
So it's just interesting. And the other thing is that I've noticed about the CWB is you guys do a lot of things because I guess it's like the secludedness of Canada in some spots and the fact that you guys have a lot more severe weather and things like that. I don't know why, but
And we're just such a big country.
yeah, you guys are so big. So like AWS in the United States, we are always interacting with each other like in person.
Mhm.
Like all the district directors, they have meetings together, or the committee members, their board members, or we have, this event, and then they're involved in AWS and GATA and ASME and FMA, and like, so we see each other at all these events all the time. So it's just coming here and seeing you guys, like, you guys are like best friends, but you're like, no, this is the first time we met in person.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so weird that you guys you don't have that same like in-person interactions as much.
Yeah.
as
There's a
what
lot of virtual,
AWS
and that's
does.
not because of COVID.
Yeah.
Even before COVID, it's
Yeah.
just we're such a big country that
Geographically, it just makes
geographically
sense. Yeah.
we're not going to be flying from East Coast to West Coast to meet for a thing unless
And I heard it's a lot more expensive for
Yeah.
you guys to fly.
Yeah. So like we have less planes, but more space.
Right.
That makes the price go up.
Yeah.
Right.
So like us, it's you know, for me, I'm on like 80 plus flight segments a year
Mhm.
for, you know, for AWS and
Yeah.
business
Flying in the
stuff.
U.S. is very inexpensive compared
Yeah.
to the prices we pay up
Yeah.
here. Yeah.
Like it's no big deal to be like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, just going to this place today, or tomorrow
Yeah.
I'm here and tomorrow I'm there. So, but I'm finding that's a lot different here in Canada.
Yeah.
And you know, I don't know if it's just an ignorant American here, but like I didn't realize how big it was.
Like the country.
Yeah, because you
Yeah.
were telling me, you're like, no, New Jersey's like this big, and I was like, no, it's not. You're like, Texas is like this big compared to all these other areas up here. And I'm like, how dare
And then we
you.
Googled it on a map because
Yeah,
you didn't
I'm like,
believe me. And you're
yeah.
like, oh,
I'm like, how dare you say Texas is small? I'm not even from Texas, but I'm like, you know.
and then you see Canada, you're like, okay.
All right, all right.
And then you're like, who lives up here? And we're like, nobody.
yeah, I was like, what is this for?
Why do you have all this land anyway?
Yeah.
Like, you're not even using it. It's like, well, you're right. We aren't using it, but there's people there. you know,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
it's all good.
You won't catch me there though.
Never,
Not up there.
not even in the middle of summer for like the 3 days of summer.
No.
It's beautiful. There's like polar bears and pretty flowers and salmon and stuff.
No.
Go like
It's a little too
a
extreme.
little too crazy.
Like,
Would you
I
go to
am-
Alaska?
I mean, to like Anchorage or something, but I don't even know if I would really go there. Like, I know
No.
it's beautiful, like to do like people do those like
The
cruise
Yeah,
things
my
through
parents
there.
have done that. I've never done that.
Yeah, like that's cool. But I'm a beach bum. I grew up on the
Yeah.
Jersey Shore, so like I just want like warm. And I'm a golfer, so
Yeah.
like I just want to golf 365 days
I'm
a
still
year.
kind of weirded out that you didn't bring your golf clubs. There's like
I
golf
was
thing like right next door.
I know, and then
Yeah.
like the
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 PGA.
Canadian Open was here with like an $8.7 million purse,
Mhm.
and you know, Rory McIlroy killed it.
Yeah.
Ugh, I mean, that was historic what he did.
And why weren't you here? I had breakfast with them.
No, you didn't.
Probably.
You didn't even know.
I don't know.
You're like, I think there were some golfers here.
Yeah, because they're all like have nice watches and
And then I was
expensive
so
stuff,
bummed, and I'm like, we need to go on the lookout.
and we didn't find any.
No, they all left.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. You know, but you know, whatever.
You know, so
I'm not too bummed out about it because I probably would have been like a total dork and embarrassed myself anyways. It's probably for the best.
like a fan, just like a fangirling. Hi.
Yeah. Hey, can you teach me how to golf? I'm a pretty good golfer though. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
But I'm not that good. I'll never be that good. In my mind, I will be. I spend a lot of money, you know, on golf.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I didn't bring my golf clubs because they're all
Custom.
you know, custom clubs.
You don't have like a travel extra set.
So
or,
I will this tour season because last year I was lugging my clubs around with me from place to place, and it's really annoying to drag golf clubs around and then drag my own personal bags around, and it's just some of the airports.
It's cumbersome.
Yeah, and some of the airports are a lot larger than others. Like
Mhm.
in those tiny airports, like in Minot, North Dakota, where there's like 2 terminals and
Yeah.
the whole area of the airport is like
Yeah.
6,000 square feet. It's not so bad with having my
Yeah, there's
clubs.
like one store that sells
Yeah.
one sandwich.
But fly into like Houston International or
Yeah.
Tampa or something, and you're like, oh my god, you got to take trains and this.
or like the
and
one in LA that where the
LAX.
LAX where the international and then the national
Yeah.
airports are actually in
Yeah.
2 different locations. So for someone like me that comes in from Canada, I actually have to go from one airport to another. Like
Yeah.
now they have a shuttle and a little train thing, but
Yeah.
like 10 years ago, you'd have to like freaking
Lug it.
2 feet in a heartbeat and get
Yeah.
across. It was terrible.
Yeah, I know. So I mean, that's what I'd have to do with my clubs in some of these bigger airports. You go terminal to terminal, but
Yeah.
it's like a shuttle,
Mhm.
or the rental car place is you have to go find a bus to a bus terminal thing to get to the rental area that's not on the property. So it's this year I'm making changes to my golf gear. So, but my main set of clubs are, I'm 4'11", and I
Yeah.
don't run a ladies club. So not that anybody probably listening to this probably gives a about golf.
No,
but
lots of welders golf.
yeah,
Mm, lots of welders golf.
I'm trying to get together. Like I keep telling like the folks over at FMA and AWS because I really want to.
Do a big golf tournament thing.
Yeah, I want to do like something. And I think it would be. Cool
We've
for
had
the
that talk here
CWB
too. Yeah.
like we all put something together at like Fabtech
Mm-hmm.
because Fabtech Atlanta. Georgia for golf courses is just amazing.
It's famous. Yeah.
I mean, not Atlanta. I mean, Augusta, which I
Yeah.
got to play. Just a
Yeah,
couple
I
of
know.
weeks
I
ago.
heard. There was lots of pictures.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that would be an awesome location to do a little golf thing for some charity, I don't know, scholarship or something.
Yeah.
And it'd be a lot of fun, I think, to do.
So I kind of want to go back to like the comments you made in terms of like how you think about the AWS and the CWB, and there's some differences there. What else comes to mind that you think might be different or alike? What are some of the things that maybe we have in common? And there's a number of AWS people here.
Oh yeah.
Like, and I go to AWS stuff. I'm an
Yeah.
AWS member. Like, and are you going to become a CWB member?
I can.
It's free.
Oh yeah.
You should become a member.
See, it's not free in the United
Yeah,
States.
I know.
Yeah, it's what, like $88 or something.
Yeah, and I get asked by AWS, like, how do you guys do all the things you're doing without charging a membership fee?
Yeah.
And well, you were at our presentation last night, and you heard some of the things that we're doing to get
Yeah.
around that fee.
Yeah. And it's funny because I don't know if removing the fee, I think like AWS, we think that like if people have skin in the game, they'll actually want to kind of invest their time in it
Mhm.
rather than just people willy-nilly signing up and then they're ghosts. Like we don't hear from them, we
Yeah.
don't see them. So like what's the value in having those people?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not really sure what's the benefit, pros and cons. There's pros and cons for both the membership
Yeah,
fee and
absolutely. Yeah.
not. So that's AWS's business on what they do
Mhm.
with that. But I think it's really cool because like a gentleman Mitchell, he was on. We actually met probably like 5 or 6 years ago, and he's real active with the CWB, but he's also active with the American Welding Society.
Mhm.
He's won grants and scholarships.
He's a
through
smart
both.
kid.
Very smart person. Yeah, I think he just finished up his PhD.
Mm-hmm.
But I met him when he was just starting out in college, and we were there for a leadership symposium in Miami, Florida, at AWS headquarters. And I just think it's really cool how we kind of interact and give each other, the support we need.
It's the same community at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, we give each other the support we need without stepping on each other's toes. At least we
Yeah.
try not to step on each other's toes,
Yeah.
I think. And I think we do really good jobs as both the CWB and the AWS being good stewards to the welding community. Everybody has their own opinion on how these organizations and societies support the industries, but I think there's more good that both of our organizations are doing that people can really benefit from than ever disservice. I think people get mad that AWS isn't they don't have an apprenticeship program like the CWB, and like this is crazy, but like it's just different. It's just different in the
and
United
it's what
States.
the industry asks for.
Yeah.
In Canada, we have a much more laid out apprenticeship
Yeah.
system. So of course our welding association is gonna
Yeah.
support that.
So our
Right.
apprenticeship programs go through very specific union
Yeah.
stuff. It's
Yeah.
just done differently.
Yeah.
So AWS doesn't step on those toes and get involved. We do curriculum. We just started doing curriculum, but we support the industry with like grants and scholarships, like over $2.5 million a year.
Yeah.
That's a lot of money. But we also do like seminars and stuff. Then people, people always have something to say about the CWI test that we have. It's too hard. It's this. It's that. And it's like you can't please everybody.
No.
But I think we do, in my opinion, we do a fantastic job kind of setting the stage for organizations to set their codes and standards to and kind of set the bar for
Without standards, it's
Yeah.
really hard to sell product, right?
yeah. And I think we set the bar too for on the foundation side of how we support, how we actually give back that money, that $88
Mhm.
you're giving for our membership. That's going to somebody
Yeah.
eventually.
It
know?
matters.
It matters. It really does. So like, yeah, you might think that it's too expensive. Like I know in Canada, you guys don't have to pay for a whole bunch of education to become a welder or
Mhm.
whatever. In the United States, you do.
Yeah.
But when you pay for it through the AWS, that money goes towards, funding the foundation
and even funding
and
the schools.
supporting. Yeah, exactly. Like we give out, I think we've actually raised it. It's either 500 or 750,000. I might be wrong. It's one or the other. But it's for the welder workforce grant.
Mhm.
And that's $25,000 to a school at like, we give like, I don't know how many, 5, 10 of them. I used to do all the grant stuff
Yeah,
for that program. But it changed since after COVID.
I was at a meeting the other day in our foundation, and this blew me away because sometimes even inside the business, you don't know what the other businesses are really doing.
Yeah.
Like in the association, we're doing pretty good for cash, and we do what we can. But the foundation, I saw the other day, they gave away I think almost $6 million last year.
Yeah.
That's a huge number
Yeah.
for such a small
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
And it was like, wow, but this is all like grants that we get from government, from industry, and we just funnel it out into schools and bursaries. And if we didn't do it, AWS or CWB, if we didn't do what we do,
Yeah.
who would?
Who would? Nobody.
Right? Nobody.
Yeah.
And industry relies on us to help.
Yeah.
And I've heard the argument against this. It actually came up yesterday in a meeting. It's like, well, don't we make industry dependent on us? Then maybe a company's not going to try as hard because they're like, oh, we'll just apply for some funding. They'll pay for it.
No.
I don't know if I buy that.
I don't think so.
No.
No, not at all. Because in the AWS, we have committee members and board members who,
They go through it.
They go through this
Yeah.
stuff with fine tooth combs and see who is really where their intentions are, how they're going to use the funds, how it's going to impact the community.
Mhm.
If you're just we have people write grants for schools asking for like video equipment because they want to use it for like marketing stuff, but like that's not really help. The point of our grant for our schools is to help train welders. We're not looking to help your recruiting numbers. We're looking to help you train those welders with quality equipment, and that's what we want our money to go. So people aren't just able to like write a grant proposal out. We're not just going to fork over $25,000 to them for new video equipment so they can make
YouTube videos,
recruitment videos for their community college, right?
Yeah.
Don't you have an AV department that should be doing stuff like that?
Yeah.
Like that's not,
And
that's
I'm
not
sure
our
the
place.
schools in the U.S. are having the same problems as here in Canada because, our economies are not that different.
Mhm.
Funding is still, it could be so much more,
Mhm.
right? Like we know that high schools, especially the secondary programs in both our countries, could use double
Mhm.
the amount they get for supports for
Oh, yeah,
trades,
for
right?
sure.
Because we talk about the skills gap and why don't we have enough students? Well, we don't make it important enough.
Yeah.
That's kind
I
of
feel
our
like-
own fault.
in the
Like,
United States, the tides are definitely changing.
yeah.
Because I run a welding school now. I own a school, and it's small scale,
Mhm.
individualized training. But I opened up my school to I have students coming at like 12 with their parents or their uncles or their older brothers or
Mhm.
friends, and it's like amazing that parents are calling and saying, "Hey, my son or daughter showed interest in this. I think it's amazing that they can come and take a weekend workshop to learn some welding, and if they like it, we'll take more classes with you." And then, I have
Mhm.
14-year-olds coming to night programs because they can't get in at the high school because they're only taking 20 students at a time, but there's, 100 kids in the county that want to go to the VOTEC for welding, but only have seats for 20 students. So, I think it's really cool to see so many parents now supporting across the country, at least in the United States.
It's getting there here too.
It's changing. It's changing a lot. It's becoming more inclusive for women to get involved, whether people like to believe it or not. Like it truly is.
Mhm.
And that has a lot to do with the numbers of welders and people in industry needed. They unfortunately
We just need
it's
everybody.
just it's just like what happened during World War II and stuff like that, where the
Yeah.
men went off to work and the women had to do these industrial jobs. And
Mhm.
now, we're kind of, without being in that same predicament, we're seeing the same type of things happening now.
Yeah.
So I think it's really cool that we are kind of changing and going, hey, infrastructure is crumbling. The population growth obviously is expanding. Technology is changing. People are moving and creating new communities, other places that were maybe more remote. And it's just incredible to see. And we need people in industry. And yeah, I know everybody has something to say about robotic technologies and stuff like
Automation,
that.
everything.
Yeah, and it's like that stuff isn't going to
Go away,
remove
yeah,
your
yeah.
job either. Like there's still other components. There are still things that right now, automation is not going to be able to take care of. We still need people to program. We still need people to fix. We still need people it's just not like the world isn't just going to be taken over by robots, at least not anytime in
Well,
my
who built the
lifetime.
robots?
Exactly.
Welders built the robots.
Yeah. So there's so many facets to this whole equation of what's going on in industry right now, and I think it's just more important than ever to really encourage people. And I think it's awesome that the AWS and companies like CWB and FMA, we do a great job trying our best to get more engagement with younger communities. And I know employers get upset with us and think that we don't do enough to do this or do that for these young kids.
That's
And it's
literally what I'm talking about at the keynote
oh my
today.
gosh.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you want? Tell
Yeah,
us what
tell
you
us.
want and how you want us to do it.
Be honest and direct.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would literally, when I was a welding instructor at a VOTEC before I opened my school, I would cold call companies hey, you're looking for welders? Oh, you are? What kind of welding do you guys do?
Damn right, yeah.
What's your process? What can I do for them? And I ended up training so many of my students, and they were going working for this company, a nuclear containment company. It's a global company, and they're based out of they have a big headquarters in New Jersey. And they called me up after all my students were going there and passing these certifications, and like it was like self-paced kind of there. They're like, "What are you doing? How are you doing this?" They're like, we want you to come work for us and be like our training director."
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't get into nuclear. I'm sorry. They wanted to pay me a lot of money. And then AWS actually came around and they ended up scooping me up, which was, I couldn't, how can you pass up the opportunity to do that?
No, I was in the exact same boat. I was teaching at a college, loving it, making industry contacts, doing my shtick and my Max thing that I do.
Yeah.
And came and scooped up by CWB. And I was like, it totally aligns with me because I was trying to help my community in my area. And I had these good ideas, very similar to what you're doing. And I think we all like kind of get to the same place when we have this passion. Like we were like, okay, we get how this works. Let's see how we can fix it. Yeah. And then when I got the opportunity to do it at a national level, it's like, like I'd love to make a difference to everyone. Right. Although you can make like the impact is smaller, but on a wider reach, right?
I mean, for me, the biggest thing about, organizations like CWB and AWS, everybody always asks me, how did you get to where you are? How did you do it? How did you get a job with the American Welding Society? Especially with how I look. If anybody knows anything about the AWS, when I got hired, I did not look the part of what AWS was at that time.
And plus the way you like to throw hands and throw chop and fight.
I do not. I'm a lover. It even says only love on my knuckles. I can't even fight my way out of a wet paper bag. I saw some fists this week.
Yeah, I don't know.
No. It's because you were calling me old. But like, how I got involved with the American Welding Society is, I went to meetings. I got out there and started talking to people and networking, and then people started noticing I had this spark for an interest in the industry and wanted to kind of promote it. And then, I was going to this meeting, and then this person wanted me to introduce me to this person and this one and this one. And then next thing you know, I'm going down to headquarters for, Instructors Institute.
Like you call it getting groomed. You don't realize you're getting groomed.
I didn't even know. And here I was just chirping about how the industry needs to change, and we need to be like, as an and I was coming from an educator standpoint at that time and saying like, we need to do more collaborative style learning. A lot of people, they're leaving here and they can do a T-joint and a butt joint on a 6-inch piece of plate, but they have no idea how to troubleshoot, no idea how to problem solve, no idea how to fabricate, no idea how to work together as a team. You go to a job site and you're not just by yourself in a booth all day long. Yeah, maybe production welding, but you still have management and engineers.
It's a big chain.
And people that have to, that part that you're creating has to go down the line, right? And if you're
and there's
you have to work together.
Points
you have to work together as a team.
Yeah.
So, I started chirping about collaborative education for welders and this and that. I had no idea that they were paying attention. And, 2 years later, after going to Fabtechs and stuff like that, I never applied for this job.
Yeah, I never applied for mine either.
Never applied. I just got an email saying, hey, and I'm convinced. I'm like, oh my gosh, they're looking at the photos from like Leadership or Instructors Institute or maybe a Fabtech, and they're looking at a different woman in the picture and don't realize it's me. I'm heavily tattooed. I'm a little punk rock. Like, I'm like this, they have this wrong. And no, they're like, nope, we want you. We love how passionate you are. And then next thing you know, I could confidently say I'm probably the only welder who's touring the country on an 85-foot expandable tractor trailer that has a designated driver of that trailer. I don't drive on the trailer, nor do I drive the trailer. There wouldn't be nothing left of the United States if I was driving the tractor trailer. I'm just flying in and out of the events. And a tour manager who handles the logistics and does the load-ins and load-outs. I am the only welder on the planet that probably has this thing, and like to be offered that from the AWS, for them to come to me and say, we think you're worthy of that position to kind of be this. I hate saying that I'm the face of this organization, but like to be that person
well, it's kind of what you're hired to do.
Yeah. And it was just like, wait a second, me? What's so special about me? I'm literally just a welder. I come from, pressure vessels, hydraulic recapping, anodized aluminum pipe. That, anodized is like my claim to fame, I would say. And then I kind of left the pipe world just to be an instructor to take care of my daughter when she was small. And, a world of opportunity came out of something from getting involved and networking. And I cannot stress enough about how like amazing watching how the CWB networks with the college level students and how the AWS does it as well. And it's
all those kids looked so cute last night winning their awards. They were pumped and hollering and Yeah, I was so happy. Like that gives me hope for the future.
Yeah.
And I would rather see a meeting like that be like 90% young people than old people. Not that old people like me suck, but I love seeing the youth come up. You know.
Yeah, it's just in my opinion, if you want to be a welder and you want to be in the industry, you have to be involved and passionate. If you want to be,
Like if you want to climb that ladder.
If you want to climb the ladder,
Yeah.
and not for nothing, the people that are involved in these organizations are the higher ups of Lincoln Electric and Fronius and Miller and Hypertherm and Fanuc and all these companies, right? Those people are involved with these organizations. And if you are looking to go and grow your career, hey, it's a good idea to get involved.
To get known. Yeah. And
go
try,
shake a couple hands.
that's
and
right.
Babies,
That's right. Yeah.
So
So now, coming out of the conference, today's the last day. Do you have any kind of takeaways that you want to think like that? Do you think I want to maybe incorporate this in our areas or maybe in the AWS? I know you mentioned like let's flip like the young welding professionals in terms of is there anything that we're doing that maybe you guys might want to be like, hey, that's not a bad idea, or is there anything that you can maybe recommend to me being like, why don't you guys think about doing something like this?
So the only thing I would recommend, I think it's just basically merging these two ideas. We do an event called Arcs and Nails at our Fabtech that I host with Jay Becker from Arc Junkies.
Yeah, I've been to one. It was fantastic.
Fun.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we should definitely, I think we're going to try and do now a panel, maybe. I think we're going to do a panel at the one, we're going to do like a mini Fabtech thing called the Welding Summit in Houston, Texas, coming up in a couple months. But I think that would be a really cool idea to do it at, how we went to the bar after for CWB. I think if we would have just had it at the bar, I think that would have been a lot like,
just do it all in one place.
Yeah.
That's
what I would do. That's the only thing I would have changed about yours. And then for Arcs and Nails, I'm totally going home and going to talk to John Douglas, who's kind of like puts the back end stuff together, and be like, listen, we need to put together a panel, and then we need to do like after that, we have to do some type of icebreaker because it makes for such a better vibe. Because or else you have just a bunch of people who don't really know each other and don't really know how to kind of
communicate,
put that olive branch out to be like, hey, I'm this person, or this is what I do, or it just kind of gives them, it forces their hand a little bit.
Even the sticker idea that they came up with the map, I thought that was so cute.
Yeah. So then that's another thing too. Like you guys had this map. I had to draw New Jersey in because you guys excluded the United States
on purpose.
So luckily there's a little room on the map for me to draw a very tiny New Jersey, apparently. So I put my sticker there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really cool, kind of seeing where everybody was coming from in the country. And that I think we're going to do those things. I think when you come to Arcs and Nails and in Atlanta, hopefully you'll be there.
And we learn lots from us going to Fabtech and us going to the AISC shows and the American shows because they're on a way bigger scale. Like it's 10 times the population, 10 times the money. We don't have that kind of resource, but we try to run lean and hard, right? Like it's like we try to do it, mimic as best we can. And learn, and then try to obviously improve in however way we can.
Yeah.
And so, like when I go down and look, it's like this idea for what we're doing right now, this like podcast space on a show floor. This idea comes from Jason Becker, because when I was at Fabtech in 2018, I think he was walking around with the thing doing podcasts just on the floor. And like catching some, they had him a little table that he could sit down and do a quick podcast setup for him. And I thought that's such a good idea, but what if it was more formalized?
Right.
Like what if it was an actual booth?
Yeah.
And so that's where, and then, I learned from Jason being like, okay, well, let's try this. And we tried it in Denver and it went awesome. Like it was a hit.
Yeah.
And so now it's like, well, now this is going to be part of like forever. And like I said to you, now for Fabtech Atlanta, I'm going to talk to Jason about maybe setting up something together like this there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because
I know he's got
his thing. Yeah.
He's leached in with AWS for Fabtech. I think they got their claws in it, but I don't see why AWS wouldn't allow us to kind of.
Yeah, and he has. Like, I mean,
space.
last time he was in with AWS, I think too in 19, wasn't he?
What do you mean?
Like where it was like he was working for AWS for the podcast, or no?
Was it then?
No, or is this new?
I can't remember.
I
It
don't
might
know.
have been in 19.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't in 19.
Okay.
Was it? I can't
That was
remember.
the last one before
I just
COVID.
I just feel like everything's such a weird blur. That whole
Yeah,
time
the
period.
blip.
Yeah, it's like what happened there.
But in any case, like I want to see if we can get this going in Fabtech and then partner up. Like there's other podcasters out there, and like let's
have a whole podcast
Yeah, like let's do a podcasting shtick because that's also part now of the welding community.
Yeah.
It's not just like someone's got a podcast. It's like no, trades podcasts are like a resource that people look to, and the youth listen and pay attention.
Yeah.
So like we can't just ignore it and pretend it's not as important as these other industries here. The podcasting media side of welding is important.
Yeah.
One of the things that came up this weekend a few times, and I had to kind of deal with this prior to you coming up, is like, why am I investing in trying to create celebrity? So first of all, you're kind of a welding celebrity. I would say you are a welding celebrity, and you have your reach, and that gives you a little extra bump in your communications out because being on TV, doing shows, tours, this increases your exposure, your footprint. Right. And we haven't done a lot of focusing on that in Canada. And this is where I'm bringing you up here as part of that. Like, hey, let's make this cool. It's not just like an awesome job. It's not just a good career, but it can also be cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Right. Like, I mean, and that's kind of like the angle we're trying to go with. Do you think that that's the right angle, like to try to make it more of a celebrity status trade?
I think you need to glamorize it a little bit more because welding isn't. You don't have to look like a coal miner every time you come home from work. Like, actually, somebody just said that to me. I made a post the other day, and I was making stuff for a restaurant. I own a fabrication company as well, and so I was doing just some work on that, and somebody was like, "Oh, that's not real work if you're not coming home looking like a coal miner or something." And I'm like,
"Ew,
what, bro? Like, huh? If you're a TIG welder and you come home looking like a coal miner, you need to get some help." Like, that shouldn't be happening to you.
Your shop is very dirty.
You're filthy and you don't know what you're using a grinder way too much. Like you need help. There are tools for that. And tape measures. Yeah. So I mean, I think kind of highlighting, because I don't think people really know what welding is. When you talk about welding, people have this image of, like, remember Flashdance or something, or they think of iron workers or pipeline welders, but there's so many things in between. There's so much that goes into the welding industry, from robotics and automation, metal forming,
exotic
cladding,
alloys,
cladding processes. Lasers,
and then the engineering side, the tech side,
the R&D. There's just so many sales. There's just so much stuff that has to, like, make the welding community whole, that I think we have to do things like that. We're never gonna make this industry and hit the numbers of people in the community as we need right now if we don't do something about changing the image of what it is. Because when I tell people I'm a welder, they're like, "Oh man, that must be like so this or so that." I'm like, I haven't, like, stick welded pipe since I was, the very early part of my career when I was doing pressure vessels and hydraulic recamming. I got into doing more exotic stuff like anodized aluminums and very clean work, but still pipe work, but just on a different side. And then, my career evolved again when I became an instructor, and then all of a sudden I have people reaching out wanting me to do stuff for restaurants and tattoo shops and hair salons. And now all of a sudden I'm doing custom fabrication for different types of businesses, and, like, there's endless possibilities as a welder, as an engineer, as R&D. Like, there's just a lot of stuff out there, and if people don't know that there's these different avenues to go, like, everybody's always going to think welding has to be dirty and gross and hot and messy and scary and dungeon-esque looking. Like,
and it can be. And if that's your stick,
if that's what you
go,
want,
man.
But people need to know there's other avenues within the industry. And it's appropriate for anybody to be in those industries. It's not like, oh, you can only do that if you're, 200 plus pounds and, you can bench press 150 pounds in, your sleep. Like, I don't know if 150 pound bench press is a lot.
It's not that much.
Okay. 300-pound bench press. Like, you don't have to be this rugged, burly guy or girl to be in these certain industries. Like, I'm 4'11", and when I was very young, I was even skinnier, tinier than I am now, and I was doing pipe welding.
And you're fine. And you did fine.
And guess what? There's cranes and forklifts and different people there that are not. They're not gonna lift that up. Neither are you. So it's like getting away from the stigma of, like, it's only for the big strong guys or girls. Like, you have to get away from that a little bit. And I don't know. I think I don't know about like calling it celebrity though. I think that's kind of. I think it's.
Is that a little pretentious or something? Or
Yeah, I feel weird about that. I just feel like just highlighting the people that have been successful and done stuff that is unique and cool.
Mhm.
Like if you look at my welding school, it doesn't look like a typical welding school.
yeah, it looks like Flashdance.
It looks rad.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I said that word. It looks really rad.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah.
have like cool
The neon, the
graffiti and
colors,
neons
yeah,
and,
yeah.
and like it just looks like something where people want to be. And I
Yeah.
think that I hope that what I did inspires other schools and other people to want to go and make a school that looks inviting and rad and exciting to go and learn there.
Yeah.
Like I'm sorry if I'm looking if I'm a teenager and I'm looking at this little
This job
Vo-Tech
or this
program
career,
or
yeah.
this place and I see one that looks like say my school versus this place, where do you think you're gonna like try and set your marbles? You're gonna go over there, right?
Yeah. Or even
So-
if you look at it in the middle ground, like let's say I'm a young person and I'm looking to get into something I'm not sure and I want to go do some tours. There's like the super rad Stephanie School, Underground Metalworks, right? And that's rad. And then there's on the left side, there's like the old school with the old
The old
gear and the
gear.
tables are dirty and the floor is dirty.
Instructors that don't go for professional development.
That's right. And they
out of
never were
touch.
actually welders,
Yeah.
or there could be a school in the middle, I would
Right.
argue. That's like, this is a college that cares.
Yeah.
Clean floors,
floors.
good welders
Yeah.
teaching. But they're not going to be as cool as your school, but at least that's respectable.
Yeah.
And like I
You
don't
have
like
to
walking
be-
into
yeah.
a training center. And it looks like I don't dig
yeah,
that
like
at all.
Dungeon look.
Yeah.
And it goes to the vibe of what you see the students
Mhm,
how they
100%,
perform.
yeah.
Like if your shop looks like, not that you can't have a dirty shop and be productive, but like when you're trying to get kids engaged and like you don't take care of your equipment, you clearly don't take a lot of pride in your job because your equipment it could be a financial thing, but you can still take care of it.
Yeah, it can still be clean.
You can still keep it tidy and
Yeah.
organized and not intimidating. looking.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot that can be said about just the education side of welding and how we need to kind of make it more inviting.
Yeah.
And hold instructors a little bit more accountable than what we do.
Man, 100%. I love that you said that because
Yeah.
I've struggled with that. When I was a teacher, it was frustrating. I will not throw people under the bus, but there would be moments where I'd be like, dude, how are you
Yeah,
teaching?
how do you
Like,
teach?
how are you here? Like,
They're miserable.
yeah, and you
or-
can't weld. Like, if
Yeah.
you don't do
They can't see
demos, yeah, it's
anymore.
like, what? You're not doing a service to the industry.
No.
You're just holding on to a job.
Yeah.
That's all you're doing. And I hate to say that because you don't want to put people down, but that's not good for the industry. It's not a good look for
Yeah.
the industry.
And
Like,
unfortunately, I would say more welding instructors than not in the United States, especially at maybe like college level, it's a little different.
mhm.
But at like high school vocational technical schools, I would say more often than not, the instructors in those programs are out of touch with the industry and new technologies and new processes. Like the amount of times I've been to a school across the country where they're in an area that shouldn't be teaching just stick welding anymore because those
Mhm.
industries, I mean,
Stick is dying. Stick
it's-
is dying.
I wouldn't say it's dying. It has its place and it probably always will.
Field work, yeah,
Field
repair,
work.
yeah.
But the metal core, flux core, like these different types
That's
of
the
wires
future.
and processes,
That's-
it's the future
yeah.
because one, way less waste. We have less waste.
Mhm.
Usability is you can learn those processes a lot faster.
Yeah, and the
machine
technologies.
settings for the
yeah.
technologies and the machines can make incorrect application. They can kind of almost adjust
Mhm.
for incorrect, skill level, like
Yeah.
skill sets, I guess
Yeah.
you could say. So I think that that's a big problem is that these instructors don't even know that, like, they might think that they're doing their students good by teaching them stick welding and that's what they did and that's what they're going to do, but they're not. And it's like, talk to the employers, find out what's going on.
Yeah.
Use the particular wires that your geographic area is using.
That's what I'm gonna be talking about right next here on the
Oh,
keynote.
it
yeah.
drives me crazy.
It drives me crazy too. And it's like, I had an instructor once when I first got hired. One of the first things that we did at the college when I got hired is that we applied for some funding. I was like, hey, let's see what funding's out there because I know
Right.
that that's a thing. And we got like $250,000 for new machines.
Right.
And one of the instructors from the college, he's retired now, and he's a great guy, great instructor. He was like a good instructor,
Right.
but he was into like the belief of like any welder's good enough to teach. Yes,
Yes, but no.
but no.
Some people are great welders and can't teach. Some people can teach but can't weld for the sake of their
Yeah,
life.
that's
It's
right.
all about delivery of information.
Yeah. And you want students to learn on the newest thing because you want them to be prepared when they go to industry. Because you know what? If you buy a brand new machine and you train them well, then they go to a shop and perhaps they have the old machines, but then the sales guy comes in and says, buy this new machine. That student's already going to know how to use it. And he's going to now go from the bottom of the pile of a new hire who doesn't just started welding to being important to the company because he knows that technology and he can show the other old guys how to use it.
Yeah.
And that's what you're supposed to do in a school is prepare your kids.
And it's a wild thing. And I'm an educator. I'm a very passionate educator. And I left, education and I couldn't help but go back to it. I have other instructors. I'm not the only instructor at the school, but even if I'm only get to teach 1 or 2 classes a month.
Yeah, you're all over it.
Oh my gosh, I just love it. Like if the school's asking me, like if I'm going out on a tour event somewhere and there's a school in town that's going to get involved and volunteer on the trailer and they want me to come out a day early so like go there and do demos, even if it's 20 minutes, if all I have is 20 minutes, like I'm there, I'm going. Like I want those experiences.
I'm still a casual instructor at my old college. I didn't quit. I'm still technically on the books. So I get the call every few months being like, hey, we're down an instructor. You want to come do a sub day?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm
absolutely.
there, man. I spend a whole day with the students and I have more fun than anybody else.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
I know. I sometimes I find myself getting like, especially in like basic classes I'll teach, and I'm like teaching process and theory stuff. And I'm like, oh, but then if you do this, and then if you use this material, then you're gonna need this gas. And they're just looking at me like 8 heads, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. Like to me,
you guys just learned how to turn the machine on.
Yeah, and I'm sitting here like, oh yeah, if you're gonna run this stainless wire, you're gonna want to trimix, and then you do this, and this is gonna be your. And they're like, huh? Who? I thought we were just using that gas. And then they're like, wait, when you use like MIG welding, you guys call it MIG welding here, or what? Is it MAG? Is it no? That's like a European thing, right?
Yeah, MAG. That's weird. That's
okay.
not.
Yeah, I don't know. I just want to make sure I'm using the right Canadian terms.
Yeah.
So like they're like blown away. They're like, I thought like you only welded steel. With, it's so funny like that people think that MIG welding's only for like welding on like carbon steels, and then I get into like, oh no, you can like weld stainless with you can weld aluminum, but this is what you have to do, and you have to do this, and then if you do aluminum, you got to do this, you got to get a push pull gun, and then and then these different gases, and they're like, and I'm like, okay, well, you're gonna just pretend I didn't say any of that.
Okay, let's go back. Turn the machine on. Okay, this is called a stinger. Yeah. This is the return.
Yeah. It's just like, so I'm like, hi. Sometimes I get very excited. Yeah. Like, one question will just turn into me just being like, let's talk
I'm bad
about
for
it.
like remembering cool work stories. I'm that teacher that's
I
like,
don't do that.
I can't help it. I'm turning, and I know teachers like that. I'm like going to be that guy. It's like, oh yeah, so one time when I was in Africa, I did this thing, and then they're like,
I don't do that. I just get like, I nerd out with welding stuff, and I don't think a lot of people don't know how much I know, and they're like taken when I just start like, I'm like when I filmed Metal Shop Masters, they edited it all out, but like we used to joke on
like
set.
My music video.
Yeah, they edited it all out, but we used to joke all the time about like how people at home were going to be able to do like a drinking game to every time I say some type of like crazy encyclopedia-esque like crap coming out of my mouth about welding, that people were going to take a shot, and that was going to be the only way they're going to be able to get through your show. And then they got rid of it all.
Yeah.
But I just nerd out over the welding stuff, and when somebody asks me a question because they're genuinely interested or don't know, I just find myself getting overexcited, and then I become an oversharer of theory.
And then you gotta like back up.
And then I'm like, don't remember anything I just said because like it's really cool, but you really don't. For what you're trying to do right now, you don't need to remember anything. But it's good to keep it in the. I'll always do, but like, hey, now it's in that Rolodex and it's back there, so that maybe
it's there forever now.
If you hear it in the future, you'll be like, oh, that's what she was talking about, So it's funny.
Well, we're coming up on the end of the podcast here. This has been an hour already. We flew by.
Yeah.
So, are you going to come back to Canada? Are you open to another invite? I think next year we might be out west.
Yeah.
Would you be on like the come and visit and, hang again?
As long as the AWS doesn't have me off somewhere else, or my businesses aren't
madness
too crazy on me. They're getting a little crazy now, but it's all for the best. But yes, I will absolutely be back.
Okay, and talk a couple minutes just about what you got going on in your school, and maybe some of the shout outs you want to do, and we can wrap it up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't really have too many things going on. I just own a fabrication company, Underground Metalworks, also welding school is Underground Metalworks. I wasn't very creative in the naming of the school. I was like, I'll just call it
Use the same one. It's good for taxes.
Just keep it easy. So yeah, you can just follow me on Instagram, Facebook. What's the other one? TikTok.
Are you on Twitter?
No, I don't do Twitter. It's too much.
Are you on LinkedIn?
Yes, but I don't
Okay.
use it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you know, I am not the one mostly on the social media stuff. I do have my assistant who takes care of a lot of it, but every once in a while I will hop on there and answer some questions or post something. Normally, if it's a golf post or my dog, that's normally me.
I
So,
get yelled at sometimes because people are like, we just want you to post welding stuff. We don't want to see pictures of your turtle anymore. It's
Yeah.
like, well, too bad. It's mine.
Yeah.
I'll do what I want.
So, and I mean, just so everybody knows, then everybody always asks about a next season of Metal Shop Masters. I will not be returning to
No?
the show.
You're not on the slate?
No, I loved filming it. I really enjoyed it. I just think that my efforts can be better focused somewhere else.
Somewhere else? All
Yeah,
right. That's very
so-
diplomatic of you.
Yeah, so I respectfully stepped away. So,
Awesome.
yeah.
Well, Stephanie, I loved having you here. You're a good friend. You're an awesome person. And well, we have a lot of fun. We have a lot of synergy together. So,
Yeah.
you know, it's I can't wait to be in Atlanta in November.
I know,
and we'll
I'm
see
so
each other
pumped.
again.
Yeah.
And maybe I'll take my clubs down there and we can
You better.
maybe I'll take an extra few days and we can go golfing or something.
Let's do it. We're gonna rally hard.
Yeah. All right. And for all the people who have been listening, this is the last podcast of Fab. Right? We don't got any more? Yeah. My voice can't take it. Like I'm struggling.
Well, you
so
got a keynote here.
I got a keynote in 20 minutes. So thanks for everyone that's been downloading and sharing and doing all the supporting. It's always fantastic. You guys are great people. Thank you, Daniela, for this week of hard work. You've done a great job. And Stephanie, again, thanks for coming.
Thank you.
All right. Take care, everybody.
The CWB Association would love to thank all the sponsors that helped make CanWeld 2022 a great success. We'd like to specially thank Ergo Meg for being one of our main sponsors and participating with us at this year's conference in Toronto.
We hope you enjoyed the show.